Good morning, Blaze. Good morning, Erica. I wanted to take a moment and provide you a little bit of an oral explanation of the written submission I did for the individual project management estimation assignment. Before I start, I wanted to take a moment as well to acknowledge that I am speaking to you from my home, which is located in an area now known as Kitimat, which is within the unceded traditional territories of the Haisla Nation. This individual assignment took into consideration the tables of information that you provided, and it will review with you a network diagram, identification of a critical path, as well as an overall budget with a 5% contingency and a project schedule. Here's a brief snapshot of the table of information that you provided. It has the work project sequence or numbering, the names of the tasks and the responsibility or who the tasks are assigned to, and as well it lists the dependencies between the work projects, which were very useful. And of course, throughout these exercises, I always took into consideration the iron triangle, which you have discussed at length in class. Portions of this assignment took into consideration the bottom-up estimation process or method, which you discussed in class, which was very useful, in particular in considering budget and time. Although there are several different methods of a bottom-up estimation approach, such as analogous, parametric. For the purposes of this assignment, I used the parametric method and utilized the information in the table that you provided to come up with suitable multipliers. Before I started this assignment, I took a moment to create a list version of a work breakdown structure from the work packages and the information that you provided. I chose not to use a project management program for the work breakdown structure simply because there were only 9 work breakdown elements. So I'm going to be presenting to you 3 versions of a network diagram throughout this assignment to illustrate the network diagram, the demonstration of duration data, and the identification of the critical path, as well as a demonstration or an illustration of the project schedule considering the duration data and the forward pass methodology that you talked about in class. So this network diagram, it lists those work breakdown structures from your table of information, and it is based on the assumption that this project has all the resources required to do all tasks in parallel. This second network diagram demonstrates the duration data of the project and is based on the assumptions that the start of the project and the finish of the project have an increment of 0 days, and as well that each work package has one definitive task length, so there's no variation in the task length for each work package. This second diagram demonstrates the critical path, which is based on the assumptions or criteria of the most longest sequenced pathway, the longest duration pathway, and the pathway that is free of float or slack. This as well has considered any potential disruptions in the pathway as discussed in class. So based on this evaluation, the critical pathway is identified as the middle pathway highlighted in red text. You will note that despite the dependencies in work packages 105 and 108, the critical path remains in the middle. The critical path then identifies 4 work packages with a time frame of 5 days. This last version of the network diagram illustrates the duration data and the forward path methodology that you discussed in class. Assumptions in this diagram considers that the start and finish again have a time frame of 0 days, again that each work package has a fixed date or no variance in length of time. The forward path determines what is the earliest time each activity can start and finish, and it considers the preceding activities or those relationships within or dependencies within the work packages. This analysis of each work package and the sequencing illustrates that the earliest completion date is 5 days and that the longest completion date is 6.5 days. This next slide is focused on estimating the budget. The budget estimation of the project includes 2 estimations: the documentation of effort or costs and the estimation of the duration utilizing the parametric method and multiplier according to the role indicated in the project information that you provided. Utilizing the table of information allowed me to evaluate the work packages and effort estimate and effort costs, thereby allowing me to calculate them. The total effort resource cost thereby were the summation of the work package cost, and the prescribed contingency rate of 5% was applied. Assumptions considered in the estimation used hours as increments rather than days, as the total project time would be less than 2 weeks, less than a month, or even a couple of months. Another assumption utilized was that a full workday is comprised of 8 hours. So based on these assumptions and exercise, all effort costs were added to note the total people costs of $3,087.50. And the second estimation of taking each work package estimate and adding the prescribed contingency costs of 5%, thereby reflected a total effort resource cost of $3,241.88. The second table indicated on the left talks about or illustrates this documenting efforts. The other table on the right lists the estimating duration and the parametric method. So for estimating duration, that estimation of the duration started from the effort estimates noted in the previous efforts calculations. Each role was evaluated as different roles have different effects. Within the table of information that you provided, the employment status of the resources or who those tasks were assigned to were evaluated and considered, and thereby allowed me to come up with the duration multiplier effort to utilize. So the parametric method for estimating duration was applied, and this method was based on the assumptions of a full-time person having a multiplier effort times 2, a light disruption or part-time person, employed person having a multiplier effort of 3, and a heavy disruption or employed person with maybe 2 or 3 jobs having a multiplier effort of 4. So based on this known information and the provision of multipliers, the estimation of duration was then completed. I found your lectures very useful in describing those steps in the process for using those multipliers, and then also documenting the effort and the estimation in a thoughtful process. I did take a moment and explored Project Libre, as you mentioned in class, and I note the practicality of the Gantt chart, which you discussed as well. I wasn't overly jazzed with Project Libre. It was a little bit harder for me to kind of navigate, but nonetheless, it did give me an opportunity to present the information that I had in the work breakdown structure in another visual representation. So this first slide provides you a list version of the work breakdown structure information of the work packages, the dependencies, length of time, and dates that I had listed in that previous forward pass slide in the network diagram into this. So this is what Project Libre created. And it also gave me opportunity to create a visual Gantt chart. And so you can see the dependencies between the work packages in a different visual representation, which I think was useful. So part of the assignment as well reflected on 2 areas of management focus that I would consider. Those 2 areas are monitoring the contingency and then as well monitoring the estimation duration. So efficient application and monitoring of the contingency fund can ensure that no slack floaters or surprises impede the project's sequencing and progression, and then it can definitely alleviate any potential barriers and risks that may be presented. It provides kind of a buffer and a backup that can provide further security and enhance risk management. The contingency can allow projects to overcome the unforeseen and create an opportunity for continued assessment and check-ins throughout the project lifecycle. The efficient estimation of time, including duration, will also allow a project to be completed on time and within budget. Without sound estimation of time and effort, a project manager will not know how long a project may take to complete. The estimation duration will allow project managers to make informed decisions and guesses on how long a work package will take, and it will create more of a sound project schedule. So these are the elements of the assignment that I could decipher from the rubric. Thank you for a wonderful class, Blaise and Erica. I really appreciated the course. Here's a snapshot of some of the sources that I used for this assignment. Of course, the text and your lectures were exceptionally useful. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.